Hi guys, good evening everyone. So today we are going to have a beautiful little class on national income. आज की क्लास बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाली है, दैट इज़ फॉर श्योर. जो लोग मिस आउट करेंगे वो मिस आउट करेंगे, दैट शुड नॉट वरी अस एनी मोर, बिकॉज जो आज पढ़ाने वाला हूँ दैट इज़ गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, वेरी वेरी यूज़फुल फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ नेशनल इनकम. सो काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग, काफ़ी ईजी तरीके से आई विल ट्राई एंड कवर द एंटायर नेशनल इनकम टुडे. We'll wait for 2 minutes and then we will start with the session. एक बार देखें कितने स्टूडेंट्स आ जाते हैं. It doesn't matter, अटेंडेंस कम है. सोनू, आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट, बिकॉज somehow जो थोड़े कम सीरियस होते हैं एस्पिरेंट्स, दैट इज़ अ रियलिटी एंड आई थिंक इट्स गुड. कम स्टूडेंट्स हैं मतलब जो सीरियस एस्पिरेंट्स हैं वो कम है, दैट इज़ व्हाट इट मीन्स, एंड दैट मीन्स दैट दी नॉन सीरियस एस्पिरेंट्स आर मोर. इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस आई वांट टू फिनिश विद नेशनल इनकम, बिकॉज ये एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चैप्टर है और इसमें ब्रेक लगाना थोड़ा अच्छा नहीं होगा. सो आई थॉट वी विल फिनिश विद नेशनल इनकम फर्स्ट. पूरा ये चैप्टर फिनिश कर देंगे, उसके बाद वी विल स्टार्ट विद इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस. ओके, आज हम लोग वी विल बी कवरिंग टिल हेयर. हमने यहाँ तक कवर कर लिया था. सो वी विल बी कवरिंग 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 topics today we'll be covering. नेक्स्ट क्लास में ये वाले उठाएंगे. इसमें बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स जो हैं वो बहुत छोटे छोटे हैं, तो हो सकता है 1 या 2 क्लास में मैक्सिमम we'll be able to cover this. Answer writing, see, it's not a part of APFC, that is why I'm not starting with answer writing yet, but I will be starting with answer writing for UPSC optional very very soon. ट्राई कर रहे हैं टाइम निकालने का कि आंसर राइटिंग का भी कुछ शुरू किया जाए, क्योंकि बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स हैं आंसर राइटिंग के अंदर. एक अभी पुराने चैनल पे देयर वाज अ सेशन ऑन आंसर राइटिंग, डिस्क्रिप्टिव राइटिंग, दैट इज़ व्हाट वी कॉल इट व्हेन वी रेफर टू RBI स्टूडेंट्स और NABARD स्टूडेंट्स. सो देयर वाज अ वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन ऑन डिस्क्रिप्टिव राइटिंग. जो हमने आइडेंटिफाई किया है तरीका हाउ टू tackle descriptive writing, how to deal with descriptive writing, that is very effective and very useful. तो try करेंगे. I'll try and have a similar session here also, although you can just go to that session and watch it, वहाँ पे बहुत अच्छे से बताया गया है. But we will be covering that we will try and cover that here today. GVA और GDP में ज़्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं होता है. In fact there is no difference at all. आपको ब्रीफली बता देता हूँ, बट व्हेन आई कवर दिस न्यू मेथड ऑफ नेशनल इनकम अकाउंटिंग तब मैं GVA थोड़ा सा डिटेल में उठाऊँगा. बट आई विल टेल यू वेरी ब्रीफली. लेट्स से देर इज़ एग्रीकल्चर, देन देर इज़ इंडस्ट्री, देन देर इज़ सर्विसेज, and in agriculture there are different kinds of activities, right? There is food processing, there is agriculture of food, there is agriculture of horticulture, there is agriculture of fisheries. तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें एक्टिविटीज़ आती हैं. So the GDP of those different sectors is called as GVA. So when you are trying to find out कि भाई what is the domestic product, what is the overall production in, let's say, fisheries this year, that is called as gross value added. And when you add all these GVAs of different sectors in all these 3 areas, agriculture, industry and services, then it becomes GDP. तो ज़्यादा कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है, but yes, the difference lies or comes into play when we talk about GVA at basic price, GVA at market price, GVA at factor cost. तो जब ये चीज़ें आती हैं तब थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेट हो जाता है, and that I'll be covering in the 11th topic, that is new method of national income accounting. Okay, चलिए, आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन GVA एंड GDP. डिटेल में जो डिफरेंस है वो हम शॉर्टली कवर करेंगे. मनीष इज आस्किंग CSE जनरल स्टडीज़ ओवर टाइम मैंने अभी स्टार्ट किया है. व्हाट आई हैव स्टार्टेड विद अगेन इज़ नाउ, बिकॉज इकोनॉमी पढ़ाते पढ़ाते इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस ये सारी चीज़ें पढ़ाने में क्या होता है, करंट अफेयर्स कहीं ना कहीं छूट जाता है, बिकॉज देयर इज सो मच टू हैंडल, सो मैनी स्टूडेंट्स टू लुक आफ्टर. तो करंट अफेयर्स को मैं इतना ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं दे पा रहा था. सो व्हाट आई स्टार्टेड इज़ फॉर द एंटायर डे आई जस्ट कीप माई वन लाइव चैनल ऑन माई लैपटॉप. वायॉन में खोल के रखता हूँ नाउ डेज़. आई हैव बीन सर्चिंग फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ इंग्लिश चैनल्स, बट मुझे अभी तक वायॉन बेस्ट लग रहा है जो कि न्यूज़ दे रहा है. So I keep Vion open for the entire day, and whenever I'm studying, if I'm not studying, वो हमेशा on रहता है. So that ways, through that I'm now getting back into the groove, जिससे कि मैं ज़्यादा अच्छे से आपको ये सब पढ़ा पाऊँ, जनरल स्टडीज़ वगैरह जो भी है. तो फ्यूचर में ट्राई करेंगे कि पूरा एक फ्री में कोर्स बहुत अच्छा सा बनाया जाए, जिसमें चाहे 6-7 महीने लग जाएँ, ज़्यादा टाइम लग जाए, बट उसको अच्छे से कवर करेंगे. ओके, प्रीवियस सेशन की क्लास नहीं है आप, प्रीवियस सेशन की PDF नहीं है आपके पास. व्हाट आई एम डूइंग इज़ ऑन टेलीग्राम, I have attached or sent the PDF of the previous session as well as this session. दोनों सेशंस की PDF मैंने एक साथ कंबाइन करके शेयर कर दिया आपके साथ. यू कैन हैव अ लुक एट दैट. ठीक है ना. आई होप दैट क्लैरिफाइज इट. उसको पिन भी कर देते हैं बिकॉज अदरवाइज इट गेट्स लॉस्ट. ओके, पिन कर दिया है मैंने. सो नाउ यू विल बी एबल टू फाइंड इट. ओके, विच बुक्स टू रीड फॉर इकोनॉमी. आई थिंक नितिन सिंघानिया अच्छी है, यू कैन रेफर टू दैट. विजन IAS का जो नोट्स मिलते हैं ऑनलाइन, दोज आर ऑल्सो गुड. आई मीन पेपर नोट्स जो मिलते हैं ऑन इन ऑल दीज मार्केट्स, दोज आर ऑल्सो गुड. रमेश सिंह भी ठीक है, यू कैन रेफर टू दैट एज वेल, बट आई फाउंड नितिन सिंघानिया लिटिल मोर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव. तो आई थिंक नितिन सिंघानिया देख सकते हैं एक बार. यू कैन रेफर टू दैट. इनफैक्ट जो मैं नोट्स दे रहा हूँ अभी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ PPT, वो काफ़ी डेप्थ में जाके दे रहा हूँ मैं आपको. तो आई थिंक वो भी आपके काफ़ी काम आएंगे. यू कैन यूज़ दीज बुक्स अलॉन्ग विद दैट. नो, इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू बी पेड. एक विजन से स्टार्ट किया है, नॉट लाइक विजन बट एक प्रॉपर ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ स्टार्ट किया है. सो आई विल ट्राई एंड ब्रिंग मनोज सर ऑन बोर्ड, बट वी कैन हैव अ जनरल सेशन ऑन हाउ टू स्टार्ट जनरल स्टडीज़, हाउ टू प्रिपेयर फॉर ऑल दीज different topics. He certainly cannot be a full-time worker with me because उनके पास टाइम नहीं है इतना. Yes, of course, you can prepare for APFC as well. चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं. Let us start with the session for today. I will be taking the queries and everything after the session. तब लेंगे तो ज़्यादा मज़ा आएगा. Okay. So today's session is going to be on national income accounting. And this is the entire sequence or table of contents, and today I will be covering topic 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. This is what we will try and cover today. Let's see if we are able to find the required time to be able to cover the entire thing today. Okay, start करते हैं. So this is for the previous class, circular flow of income. Let us skip it, and as I said, 4 to 8 we will try and cover today. National income, NNP at factor cost. The first is meaning and concept of national income. What is national income? Normally when we talk about national income, we refer to NNP at factor cost. Okay, this is traditionally what we refer to as national income. Why do we take NNP at factor cost only as national income? We will talk about that as well. First, let us try and understand what is NNP at factor cost. What is this national income? Definition देके let's try and understand it. A measure of the sum of all the factor incomes earned by the citizens of a country for their land, labor, capital and entrepreneurial talent, whether within the country or abroad. So what happens is, this is, let's say, India. I've still not learned how to make a good, flag of good, the entire geographical spatial distribution of India, but धीरे धीरे बना लेंगे एटलस से सीख के. So anyways, moving forward, तो let's say this is India. So we have to figure out in order to understand how a country is doing. अब हम household level पे जब बात करते हैं, when we talk at the household level, we try and measure the income. Let's say my income is 50,000 per month, and then we allocate the expenses accordingly. अगर मेरे एक्सपेंसेस 60-70 हज़ार पर मंथ आ रहे हैं, सो आई नो देर इज़ सम प्रॉब्लम, आई नीड टू कट डाउन ऑन माई एक्सपेंसेस. मुझे कुछ सेव भी करना चाहिए. आई शुड ऑल्सो बी सेविंग समथिंग. सो इट ऑल डिपेंड्स अपॉन द इनकम दैट आई हैव. द फर्स्ट पॉइंट हैज़ टू बी टू आइडेंटिफाई what is my yearly or monthly income, and then I measure growth by trying to understand if there is any increase in this income. This is how you normally measure growth at personal level also. Let's say my income this year in this company is, let's say, 50,000 per month. ये मेरी सैलरी है, दिस इज़ माई प्रेजेंट इनकम पर मंथ. I will feel at a very rudimentary level that if this is increasing to, let's say, 55,000 or 60,000 per month in the next financial year, only then I feel that there is some growth. Otherwise I might want to shift to another company. मैं सोचूंगा यार कहीं और काम करते हैं जहाँ पे इंक्रीमेंट मिल जाए. So I'm trying to increase my income. Okay. And this is how we see normally growth. हमारी growth का measurement का जो हमारा idea है, this is what the perspective is. Okay. ये हमारा नॉर्मल पर्सपेक्टिव होता है टूवर्ड्स इनकम एंड टूवर्ड्स ग्रोथ. एट द नेशनल लेवल ऑल्सो दिस रिमेन्स द सेम. इनकम हम मेजर करते हैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी मेजर इनकम एंड देन वी मेजर ग्रोथ बाय फिगरिंग आउट what is the increase in income year after year. Okay, so the first point is to measure income, and that is where the complexity lies. How do you measure income? There are different methods of measuring income. One method of measuring income at the national level is called as national income. Okay, NNP at factor cost. What we do here is we create a list of all the citizens of the country. Who are the people? Who are the ones who are going to earn for you? It is the people. At the core of anything that happens in a country lies people. ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कोई कुत्ता आपके लिए कमा के देगा या फिर कोई गाय आपको कमा के देगी. गाय भी आपको कमा के दे रही है तो through milking, it is the human behind it or the company behind that cow which is actually earning that money. So at the core is the work done by the people. So first of all, we try to identify in national income or in NNP at factor cost who are the people who should be counted in order to measure national income. We say citizens. People who are Indian citizens should be taken under the measurement of national income or NNP at factor cost. Okay, a measure of sum of all factor incomes earned by the citizens of a country. तो हम क्या बोलते हैं कि फैक्टर इनकम्स क्या थी सिटीजन्स की एक देश में. what were the incomes of citizens of a country. Now what do you mean by factor income? That we'll understand. What do you mean by citizens? That also we'll understand. So for example, there is a citizen who has a land. जैसे स्टूडियो है ये, it belongs to someone else. उसने वो रेंट पे दिया. He has given it on rent. So let's say this studio is land. There is a landlord and now I am paying rent to the landlord for this studio. तो जो rent है that is an income. That becomes a factor income. Okay. So these are factors of production जिनके basis पे आपको income कमाई जाती है. So first of all, land is a factor of production and rent is the factor income that you receive from this factor of production. So the factors of production are land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. These are the four major factors of production, and through these you earn certain incomes, and these incomes are counted together to figure out कि भाई total NNP at factor cost क्या था. Okay, so the first step is to figure out who are the citizens. हमारा first step क्या होगा कि भाई citizens कौन है. Let's try and figure out who are the citizens, and then what are their incomes, factor incomes based upon these four factors of production. Let's say there is a citizen who is a laborer. तो उसकी क्या इनकम है, हाउ मच इज ही अर्निंग. देर इज अ पर्सन हु होल्ड्स कैपिटल, हाउ मच इज ही अर्निंग थ्रू दैट in the form of interest. There is a person who is an entrepreneur. There is a person who owns land. How much is he earning in that land? So all these are factors of production through which you will earn certain factor income. जैसे आप कल को IAS बनोगे, you will become an IAS officer. You will be a laborer. You will be in this class. You will be earning certain wages, certain salaries, and those salaries will be counted together and they will become factor incomes. I hope this is clear. So we have to understand the definition, exact definition, meaning हम लोग समझ गए हैं, and now we have to understand the meaning of citizens. So when we first of all figure out, okay, these are the 1.3 billion citizens that we have belonging to India today, and these are the factor incomes of all these 1.3 billion citizens of India. Based upon their incomes, when we accumulate, when we combine the incomes of all these 1.3 billion citizens of India, then we arrive at NNP at factor cost or national income. I hope this is clear. I've already said it is equal to NNP at factor cost. Why is it equal to NNP at factor cost? We'll try and understand that later. Okay. The term national here refers to citizens and the term income here refers to फैक्टर इनकम. आई होप दिस इज ऑल्सो क्लियर. ये हमको आई थिंक बेसिक आइडिया मिल गया है. दिस इज क्लियर टू अस. ओके, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय अ सिटीजन? दैट इज आवर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कि भाई सिटीजन होता क्या है. ओके, द टर्म सिटीजन रेफर्स टू दोज इंडिविजुअल्स एंड इंस्टीट्यूशंस. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दिस एंड रिमेंबर दिस. ये आपको बहुत कम लोग बताएंगे. हु इज अ पर्सन? A person might be an individual just like you and me, a real person. A person might also be a legal person. एक legal person भी तो हो सकता है ना. Who is a legal person? For example, the name of my company is AJC. Legal name is AJC EduTech Private Limited. So this is what? This is a legal person. This is an institution. This also is an Indian citizen because वो इंडिया में इनकॉर्पोरेट हुई है और उसका इकोनॉमिक इंटरेस्ट भी इंडिया में है. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. सो इंडिविजुअल्स एज वेल एज इंडिविजुअल्स हुज नेशनैलिटी लाई इन इंडिया. नेशनैलिटी मतलब वो इंडियन सिटीजन होने चाहिए. दिस इज एन इंडियन कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड इन इंडिया. आई एम एन इंडियन सिटीजन. आई माइट चेंज माई सिटीजनशिप टुमारो. इन दैट केस आई विल नॉट बी एन इंडियन सिटीजन एनी मोर. सिमिलरली, this company might change its Indian citizenship tomorrow. In that case, it will not be an Indian company anymore. Just like I think Flipkart did it. उन्होंने एक सिंगापुर में हेडक्वार्टर्स बना के टैक्स सेव करने के लिए they shifted their headquarters. In that ways, they shifted their ownership. They shifted their nationality. Okay? But who may live anywhere in the world? It does not matter where you live. If an Indian citizen living in the US, if he is still an Indian citizen, then he'll be counted here. This is the difference between citizen and resident. Okay. We will talk about resident, especially when we talk about GDP. Right now we are talking about citizen. So citizen is a person who is legally, whether an individual or an institution, who is legally an Indian citizen. India के papers में वो एक Indian citizen होना चाहिए. That is all that you need. Where is he living? What is he doing wherever he is living? That doesn't matter to us. If he is an Indian citizen, US में जाके टैक्सी चला रहे हो, उसने जो भी कमाया वहाँ से, whatever he earned by running a taxi in the US, that will also be a part of Indian national income. Why? Because he is still an Indian citizen. कल को वो US का citizen बन जाता है, उसको green card मिल जाता है, then his income will not be added in Indian national income. But for now, because he is legally an Indian citizen, his income will be added in Indian national income. I hope this is clear. For example, Mr. A may or may not be a resident of India, but so long as he is an Indian citizen, his income will be included in Indian national income. You must have heard the term non-resident Indian, NRI. Why are they called non-resident and Indian? They are called Indians because they are Indian citizens and not of a country wherever they live. And they are called non-resident because they are not residing in India. वो इंडिया में रह नहीं रहा है. He is living somewhere else. His economic interest is also not in India. This is where a question can be made. So an Indian citizen might not have an economic interest in India, but he will still be an Indian citizen. He will still remain an Indian citizen. And his income will still be a part of national income. ये आपको समझ आ गया ना? I hope this is clear. There is, let's say, Amir Khan. Let's say his economic interest tomorrow lie in Canada. उनका economic interest Canada में lie करता है. वो Canada जाके रहने लगते हैं. But he's still an Indian citizen. He starts doing movies in Canada. Hollywood में काम करते हैं. His earnings are coming from Canada और US और वहीं पर सब कुछ चल रहा है. But whatever he's earning till the time he's an Indian citizen, let's say उनको एक साल में मिले $1 million. $1 million उन्होंने कमाए एक साल में. Okay, for example, all this $1 million will be used or will be assumed to be a part of Indian national income because he's still an Indian citizen. His economic interest lies in Canada, but even then he will be considered an Indian citizen और उनकी जो भी income है, whatever he's earning will be added into the income of or added into national income of India. I hope this is clear. This was the entire concept of NNP at factor cost or national income as we popularly know it. Citizen definition, I think it's clear. The next definition that we have is called as factor income. I've already explained it to you. Let's have a look at it again and see if we understood it correctly and completely or not. Factor income refer to incomes derived by those who provide factor services to production units. Land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship are the four factors of production. So these are four factors of production: land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. Whatever income is generated through these four factors of production will be called as factor income. What are the incomes which are generated through this? Land से हम create करते हैं rent, labor से हम create करते हैं wages and salaries, capital gives us interest and entrepreneurship gives us profit. Okay, so land say we have rent, labor say we have salary, capital say we have interest, okay, and entrepreneurship we have profits. So these all are going to be combined together and they will be called as factor income. Basically income of different individuals, whether a legal person or a real person, does not matter. उनकी जो भी income है that will be counted here only through these factor incomes under factors of production. I hope this is clear. बहुत सिंपल सी चीज़ है, समझने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए. Okay. Why is NNP at factor cost called as national income? Very relevant question. भाई, why don't we call GDP as national income? Why don't we call GNP as national income? Why don't we call NNP or NDP at national income? Why do we call NNP at factor cost only as national income? हम इसी को क्यों national income बोलते हैं? Let's try and understand that. Number one, because it takes into consideration citizens of a country. GDP take into consideration residents of a country and not citizens of a country. This makes sense since the earnings of foreigners should not be included in India's national income. National by its very name suggests that we should not have incomes earned by foreign citizens in India by any means. Indian citizens की income measure होनी चाहिए. Foreign citizens की India में whatever they're earning, that should not be a part of national income. That's the idea behind it. Okay. Factor cost is used because net indirect taxes like sales tax, excise are not the payment for factors of production. Let me explain this. Because I mentioned here NNP at factor cost. There are two terms, NNP at factor cost and there is NNP at market price. The difference is in market price, let's say there you are selling, let's say cigarettes, for example. आपने एक सिगरेट का खोखा खोल लिया, आप सिगरेट बेच रहे हो, उसका मार्केट प्राइस है लेट्स से 11 रुपये, 11 रुपये में बेच रहे हो, इसमें टैक्स भी आता है. सो द कस्टमर इज पेइंग 11 रुपीज़ बट द प्रोडक्शन एक्चुअली इज ऑफ रुपीज़ 10, 1 रुपीज़ टैक्स, 1 रुपीज़ टैक्स. ओके, so the factor of production, the factor income which is involved here is only rupees 10. This tax is going to the government. This does not belong to any factors of production. Factors of production ले लो फिर से land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. ये tax उन चारों में से कहीं नहीं आता है. It does not belong anywhere. Therefore, it should be removed when we are measuring NNP or when we are measuring national income. NNP at market price includes this because ये market price के अंदर आता है. But factor cost के अंदर we remove indirect taxes. Similarly, let's say you are selling wheat. Minimum support price वाला wheat दे रहे हो आप PDS में. You are distributing it in PDS shop. Your cost for it is rupees 50 per kg. But because it is subsidized, you have to sell it at rupees 40 per kg. आपको सस्ते में बेचना पड़ रहा है through PDS. What is happening? Your cost is this. This is the total factor of production involved. जो भी उनकी factor income है वो इसमें ये involved थी उसको बनाने में. But you have to sell it at a lesser price because there is a subsidy involved which has been provided by the government. Now this subsidy does not form a part of factor of production. Factor of production में land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship में subsidy कहीं नहीं आएगा. Therefore, it should be included back. उसको फिर से add कर देते हैं because ये हमने exclude कर दिया in our market price. So we include it back and instead of taking 40 we take rupees 50 and that is how we arrive at factor cost from market price. I hope this is clear. Okay. So factor cost is used and not market price is used because net indirect taxes as well as subsidies, they do not form a part of national income. They do not form a part of factor income through factors of production. Okay. There are more reasons. It can be asked as well in the examination. There is a lack of uniformity in taxes among countries. हर एक country का अलग taxation system है. So in that case, there will be incorrect, national income figures because tax rates are different. The goods are normally not printed with their prices in developing countries like India. Arbitrary pricing होती है, and therefore it's important कि हम sales price ना लेके we take a price which is actually belongs to factors of production. Okay. What this means is, let's say I sell you a book. आप books खरीदी होंगी, normally आपने देखा होगा books पे बहुत high prices लिखे होते हैं. Even those pirated books that you buy from the street corners, you will see book के पीछे लिखा होगा 500 rupees, 499, and he'll be selling it to you at 100 rupees. Okay. Why is that? Because pirated है, original book नहीं है. But in any case, उसको तो 100 रुपये कमाए ना. He is a part of factors of production. Labor है उसमें कहीं ना कहीं involved. Therefore, that labor should be included up to rupees 100 only and not up to rupees 500, because he's actually not selling it to you at rupees 500. The value addition is only rupees 100. 500 तो उसके पीछे arbitrarily लिखा हुआ है, and therefore we do not take market price, we take factor cost. I hope it is clear. Okay. So this is the entire reason for taking NNP at factor cost in order to represent national income. This is why we don't take GDP, we don't take GNP, we don't take NDP, we don't take NNP at market price. Okay. National income at factor cost is NNP at market price minus indirect taxes plus subsidies. So what have we done? NNP at market price was what? 11 rupees for the cigarette and 40 rupees for the wheat. Right? We deduct indirect tax, 1 रुपये था यहाँ पे, and subsidy was 10 rupees here. So we add subsidy of rupees 10 here. So finally क्या होता है? 11 plus 40 is how much? 51 minus 1 plus 10. So 50 plus 10, 60 आ गया यहाँ पे. So this comes out to be our NNP at factor cost. I hope this is clear. बहुत simple सा एक method है, simple सा तरीका है, and I've explained it to you, I think, well enough. Okay. Let's move forward. Concept of market price and factor cost मैंने आपको already explain कर दिया, but let's have a look at it again. Market price refers to the actual transacted price of goods and services. It is the price that a consumer pays for the product while purchasing it from the seller. It includes indirect taxes and subsidies, which I've already explained it to you. हमने formula भी देख लिया है. एक एग्जाम्पल लेके इसको समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. Let's try and understand this through an example. तो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? नवाजुद्दीन साहब की एक सिगरेट की कंपनी है. He is a seller, producer and seller of cigarettes. Okay. Sales price of one cigarette is rupees 10 without taxes. ये without tax है, मतलब जो भी हमारा factors of production है, जो भी हमारी factor income है, which includes land, labor, capital and profits, this is rupees 10. अब आप बोलोगे why is it called as factor income? भाई सिगरेट बनाने में what all is used? There is labor used, land कहीं ना कहीं यूज हुआ होगा, for which he is either paying rent या फिर खरीदा है, whatever it might be. Capital, he might have taken some money from somewhere, जिससे कि वो raw material खरीदेगा, he'll buy it, he'll manufacture it and then he'll sell it. So he must be paying interest on that capital, for example, let's say. Okay. So capital is involved. And last is entrepreneurship, which basically means that he's giving his time. तो उसके profits भी उसमें कहीं ना कहीं include होंगे. Let's say for every cigarette he spends rupees 2 of worth of labor, rupees 1 worth of land, rupees 3 worth of capital. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and he takes a profit of rupees 4. So this is how it comes out to be rupees 10. Okay. So this is the sales price that he has identified कि ये मेरा sales price होगा एक cigarette का without taxes. Okay. Now there is Kejriwal sitting here. He says भाई smoking तो बड़ी ख़राब है, इससे काफ़ी ज़्यादा problem हो रही है लोगों को, कितनी बीमारियाँ होती हैं. Let me tax them for this sin because they are committing a sin. This is called as sin tax popularly. Let me tax them more than how I tax other people for other services and other products, because खराब काम कर रहे हो, not required. You're just doing it for the fun of it. There is no productivity involved here. Okay. Let's tax them at 50%. बहुत बढ़िया सा tax लगाते हैं. So 10 plus 50% of 10, which is rupees 5. सो इट विल बी 10 + 5, 15 रुपीज़ हमने इसको बोला कि 15 रुपये की मार्केट में इट विल बी सेलिंग फॉर ₹15, आउट ऑफ विच 5 रुपीज़ इज़ आर टैक्स, 5 रुपये हमारा टैक्स हो गया. ओके, सो द फाइनल सेल प्राइस फॉर द कस्टमर जो कि इतने सुट्टे मारने वाला है सिगरेट पिएगा उसका हो गया ₹15 पर सिगरेट. ये हो गया हमारा मार्केट प्राइस और ये हो गया हमारा फैक्टर कॉस्ट. So ₹10 comes out to be our factor cost, ₹15 comes out to be our market price, and the difference is indirect tax. Indirect tax लगाया है, इस पे जो टैक्स लगा है, this is GST, this is not a direct tax. Direct tax income पे लगता है. What is the income here? ₹4 is the profit here. इसके ऊपर हम direct tax लगाएंगे. ₹2 जो लेबर ने कमाया है, सैलरी ली है, उसके ऊपर वो इनकम टैक्स पे करेगा. That is a direct tax. That is different. Right now we are applying indirect tax on this. तो ये indirect tax जो है ये कहीं भी factor of production का part नहीं है. This is not a part of factor income and therefore this should be eliminated. So this is our NNP at factor cost, ₹10, and NNP at market price is ₹15. So in order to calculate national income, we'll eliminate, if we have only NNP at market price and the tax, we'll eliminate or remove the indirect tax from NNP at market price to come at NNP at factor cost. I hope this is clear. The same applies in the case of subsidies. Subsidies में एकदम opposite होता है. Number one, let's say instead of a cigarette company, now he has a fertilizer company. 1 kilo urea he's selling for ₹10. Kejriwal again comes into the picture. He says our farmers need help. Urea is so expensive. Let me pay half of it. So now he says, let me subsidize the farmers. Although we are getting it for ₹10, we are going to subsidize by paying 5 rupees on our behalf for these farmers, on their behalf by ourselves. तो नवाजुद्दीन क्या बोलता है, यार मैंने तो 10 का लिया था, मैं थोड़ी ना 5 का बेचूंगा. So Kejriwal says, okay, let me pay 5 rupees to you. You can finally sell it for ₹5 and the remaining 5 I will provide you. मैं आपको दूंगा 5 रुपये. Okay. So now here what is happening? ₹10 is our NNP at factor cost. Market price कितना है? NNP at market price is ₹5 only. ये तो कम हो गया. Now we add back the subsidy. Subsidy हम add करेंगे. 5 + 5 of subsidy. We come at NNP at factor cost again, which is ₹10. So this is how it is calculated. I hope it is clear. इससे ज़्यादा simple तरीके से समझना possible नहीं है. Let's now jump into the variance of national income. Somebody was talking about GVA. GVA को हम new method of national income accounting में we'll discuss that. Today we'll talk about variance of national income. What are these variants? GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP. These are the major variants of national income. GDP and GNP are gross in nature. NDP and NNP are net in nature. The difference being only depreciation. एक एक करके we'll try and understand it. Okay. What is GDP? The first question. Aggregate value of production of final goods and services taking place within the economic territory during a year. Now, there are two differences here. Number one, instead of taking citizens, we take residents. So we had citizens in NNP. We have residents in GDP. We had all around the world citizens anywhere in GDP. NNP. We have economic territory in GDP. So what are we saying? We are saying this is the map of India. Instead of trying to calculate who is this one person sitting in the US who is an Indian citizen, ये Indian citizen एक US में बैठा है, let's not worry about him because he is not residing in India. Who are the people who are residing in India? We don't care whether they are national of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Canada, Korea, कहाँ से आए हैं, it doesn't matter to us. People who are living in India. आप यहाँ भारत में रह रहे हो, you are living here. That means whatever you are earning becomes a part of our domestic product. Domestic product and national product, that is the difference. National is citizen plus anywhere. The citizen might be anywhere. He has to be an Indian citizen, that's it. Domestic product, any person living in India. Any person living in India, doesn't matter whether you are an Indian citizen or not, you should just be an Indian resident. आप यहाँ पे रहते होने चाहिए. That is all that matters. Okay, I hope it's clear. So when you add on the incomes of all these people, whether they are individual, whether they are legal individuals or legal, people, legal entities, whatever they are earning by living in India, by being residents of India, that will become a part of domestic product. I hope this is clear. Final goods and services. This is clear. So this defines our gross domestic product and the definition as well. Only goods and services consumed by final consumer are to be added together to arrive at GDP. Goods and services acquired not for resale are final product. So what does it mean? It means it is normally called as the concept of value added. So what happens here is, let's say I have purchased this laptop, I have purchased this iPad in order to teach you. मैंने ये खरीदा है. But how and why am I consuming it? Consumption का purpose क्या है? What is the purpose of my consumption? The purpose of consumption is not to have it as a final product for my personal usage, but this is specifically meant for the company. ये कंपनी के लिए मैंने खरीदा है, and through this I am providing some service to some other person. मैंने एक कार खरीदी and that car is used as a pool. कार पूल की तरह यूज़ कर रहा हूँ मैं उसको डेली ऑफिस जाने के लिए. That is not a final product because I'm using that car in order to accumulate people, in order to have more people come on board. I'm taking money from them and I'm taking that to their offices. That is not a final product because I'm using that product to provide another service or another product to people. मैंने टायर खरीदा, कंपनी ने एक टायर खरीदा. There is a car company Maruti. It purchases, let's say, Fiat tires or MRF tires. It puts those tires in the car and then it sells the car. The value of that tire will not be calculated separately in the GDP. Why? Because that tire has been used to provide another service or product to the people. If that tire had been purchased by me for my personal car, मैं अपनी पर्सनल गाड़ी में लगाता, पुराना टायर फेंकता और मैं खूब उसको यूज़ करता, that would have been a part of my final usage, final product. So whatever you are consuming or making or producing or selling is for final production or final consumption, then it will be a part of GDP. That is why we take only final goods and services and not intermediate goods and services. So we eliminate or remove intermediate goods and services. Okay? तो accounting में ऐसा एक सिस्टम बना हुआ है that I have purchased this iPad. अब ये iPad मैं GDP में कैलकुलेट कर सकता हूँ, but नहीं होगा. It will not be calculated. Why? Because this iPad is used for the services that I am providing you. You are paying me something for these services. आप कुछ ना कुछ पे कर रहे हो मुझे सर्विसेज के लिए. When you are paying for these services, at that time, whatever I'm earning through those payments, that will be a part of the final GDP. GDP में वो add होगा. This iPad's value, iPad's expense will not be added. Why? Because I'm using this in order to teach you, in order to provide another service. So we take only final goods and services and not intermediate goods and services. Intermediate लेंगे तो क्या होगा? What will happen if we take intermediate also? I have purchased this in order to provide you a service. Now this is taken as a final product, let's say. So this becomes a part of GDP. Now I'm also selling you those services and you're paying me something. And through those incomes are also going to be a part of GDP. That expense, that sales value that I have, जो भी आप मुझे pay कर रहे हो, it includes somewhere or the other the expense of this iPad. ये iPad का expense वहाँ पे included है. तो क्या होगा उस situation में? What will happen in that situation? There is double counting. So in order to eliminate or remove double counting, we are taking only final goods and services and not intermediate goods and services. I hope this is clear. Okay. Please keep responding if it is clear. The second here is economic territory. Okay. The first concept was final goods and services and the second is economic territory. So this is the first keyword which is clear. Second is economic territory. So we are not concerned about Indian citizens living abroad We're not concerned about anyone else living here. What we are only concerned about is any person living and working in the Indian economic territory, working here, earning his bread and butter here, earning factor incomes here, has to come into GDP. I hope this is clear. Economic territory is derived from physical territory but on economic basis. So it includes the entire India. ये तो included है ही इसमें. This entire India is included here. In addition, especially for fisheries and marine services, we include the exclusive economic zone also. Exclusive economic zone is still 200 nautical miles. So the entire exclusive economic zone is also included in calculating GDP, gross domestic product. Why is it? Because यहाँ पर aggressively we carry out fisheries. We have economic rights over these. So if any other nation comes in and says हम यहाँ पे fishing करेंगे, हम यहाँ से अपना vessel लेके जाएंगे, you can say no, this belongs to our economic territory. If you want to do it, you have to pay us something. Okay. So there is territorial waters till 12 nautical miles. There is contiguous zone, another 12 nautical miles, and exclusive economic zone till total 1200 nautical miles. 200 nautical miles. Okay. So anything in this area, including the exclusive economic zone, becomes a part of Indian economic territory. Not only territory, Indian economic territory. और जो भी इस एरिया में हो रहा है, whatever is happening here will be a part of Indian GDP. I hope this is clear. The concept of economic territory is carved out of geographical territory by adding some portions of rest of the world and by subtracting some portions of geographical territory. मैंने आपको addition बता दिया. Told you the addition of exclusive economic zone. The following is deducted in order to figure out economic territory. What is deducted? Territorial enclaves, for example, foreign embassies होती हैं. In Delhi, there are so many foreign embassies. So whatever is happening inside those foreign embassies will not be a part of Indian GDP. International organizations set up in India. Let's say UN का office है India में. So whatever is happening inside UN office in India, whatever income is generated there, that will not be a part of Indian GDP. Okay, I hope this is clear. So this is what we mean by economic territory. Okay, so these were the major, keywords involved in calculation of GDP, final goods and services, economic territory. There is another keyword which is called as residents, which I've already explained to you. Okay, economic activity of all the residents in India, whether Indian citizen or foreign citizen, is to be combined together to arrive at GDP. I hope this is clear. Real GDP versus nominal GDP. So now we are getting into the depth of GDP. हमने सबसे पहले variant निकाला GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP. We will be calculating and measuring and understanding all of these one by one. Let's get into the depths of a little depth about GDP. So there are two types of GDP. There is nominal GDP and real GDP. Let's first have a look at nominal GDP. What is nominal GDP? Okay. Yes. So Indian embassies, I think this is left out. So an Indian embassy abroad will become Indian territory. It is an Indian territory, both economic and otherwise. So this, जो भी Indian embassies हैं in the entire world, whatever is happening in those Indian embassies will become a part of GDP of India. It will be a part of GDP of India. Okay, I hope that's clear. So let's first try and understand nominal GDP. Let's take an example. In 2020 and 2021. In 2020, price of one iPhone was rupees 50,000. Total iPhones produced were 10. Let's say for example, हमारी GDP में बस iPhones ही हैं. एक iPhone 50,000 का है, 10 iPhone produce करे. That's it. So the GDP will be rupees 5 lakh. 50,000 into 10. 2020-21 में क्या हुआ? The price of one iPhone was increased to rupees 1 lakh. Total iPhones produced लिखा है यहाँ पे, sold नहीं होगा, inventory भी हो सकता है. That is why we are always going to take produced. Total iPhones produced 11. GDP हमारा हो गया 11 lakh. So you might say कि भाई the country is doing so well, GDP has doubled. It was 5 lakh in 2020. It is 11 lakh in 2021. More than double. Such a steep high in GDP. Base effect भी बोल सकते हैं, inflation भी बोल सकते हैं. We can call it a lot of terms. Okay, but the reality is that this is what This is how we measure nominal GDP. Now the primary reason is of nominal GDP so high and growth rate so high is inflation. So what has happened here? It was 50,000 and it has doubled to rupees 1 lakh. Price of one iPhone was 50,000, it has doubled to rupees 1 lakh. This has happened and this is called as inflation. In order to calculate real GDP, we try and eliminate the impact of inflation. हम बोलते हैं कि यार inflation का impact हटा देते हैं. Let's try and understand what is the actual increase in production. What is GDP? Gross domestic product. So we have to measure what is the actual increase in production in a financial year. So what is happening here? Price of one iPhone rupees 50,000. Total iPhones produced 10. GDP comes out to be rupees 5 lakh. In 2021, price of one iPhone 1 lakh. Total iPhones produced 11, exactly the same. But the real GDP is going to be the price of one iPhone in the base year, which is, let's say, 2020. This is the base year. So it is 50,000, and the number of units produced in the present year, which is 11. So it comes out to be rupees 5,50,000. So now we can say there is a 10% increase. There is a 10% growth in GDP. And we can verify that also. यहाँ पे 10 unit produce हुए थे. Now we are producing 11. So there is a 10% increase in the production of iPhones, right? So we can say that the GDP growth rate is 10%. And this is called as real GDP. I hope it is clear. Okay. So this is the concept of real and nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is the value which is calculated using the current prices in the economy, the definition. Real GDP, calculated using a constant set of prices. Only the prices remain constant. The production, the number of units produced change every year. By affixing a base year for these constant prices, value of GDP can be calculated to ascertain the scale of change in production levels. We can figure out what is the increase or decrease in the production of goods or services. Okay, I hope this is clear. Connected to this is the concept of GDP deflator. इससे connect हो जाता है हमारा concept GDP deflator का. Okay, let's try and understand that. So GDP deflator says ratio of nominal GDP to real GDP. Our nominal GDP was 11 lakh. Our real GDP was 5,50,000. Sorry, our real GDP was 5 lakh. Our nominal GDP was 11 lakh. Our real GDP was 5 lakh. I think यही था. इसको एक एग्जाम्पल लेके समझ लेते हैं और ज़्यादा क्लियर हो जाएगा. सो व्हाट इज हैपेंड हियर? बेस ईयर 2008 है. प्राइस ऑफ वन आईफोन रुपीज़ 10. अभी चेंज कर देते हैं, प्राइस 10 रुपये का है. टोटल आईफोन्स लेट्स से 200 आर प्रोड्यूस्ड. जीडीपी 2000. ये हो गया हमारा रियल जीडीपी ऑफ द बेस ईयर. नॉमिनल जीडीपी भी सेम होगा. नॉमिनल एंड रियल जीडीपी ऑफ द बेस ईयर आर गोइंग टू बी द सेम एज यू कैन सी हियर. 5 lakh, 5 lakh. Okay, it is the current year where it changes. 2013, let's say the current year. Price of one iPhone changed to rupees 15. Total iPhones produced instead of 200, 220. So nominal GDP will be 15 into 220. So it will be 3,300. Okay, let me write it here. 15 into 220, 3,300. On the other hand, real GDP will be rupees 10. The price will not change. The quantity will change into 220, 2,200. So a GDP deflator comes out to 3,300, which is a nominal GDP, upon real GDP, which is 2,200. So 1.5 or 150%. This is a GDP deflator. Okay. So the ratio of nominal to real GDP is GDP deflator. It measures basically the difference between nominal and real GDP or the level of inflation in an economy. तो वो हमें clear हो जाता है यहाँ से. I hope this is clear. Okay. Let's come to potential GDP. There have been questions on potential GDP in the past. There can be questions on potential GDP in the future. Very important concept. The highest level of output that an economy can sustain over a period of time at a constant inflation rate. मतलब, what is the potential of Indian GDP? How much can India potentially produce? Potential क्या है आपका? बहुत लोग बोलते हैं ना, people say India has a lot of potential. The elephant has a lot of power. You can see the potential of India, or you will see the potential of India being realized in the next 10 years. Next 10 years में 5 trillion US dollar की इकोनॉमी बने. We are talking about the potential. what is the potential of Indian GDP if we were to produce at the optimum or the highest level of output. हम जितना बना सकते हैं, if we are able to create everything, produce what is our optimum level, जितना भी हमारा install है, we are able to use everything that we have and produce at the most optimum at the highest level, then what is going to be our GDP? That is called as potential GDP. Okay, the highest level of output that an economy can sustain. For example, as an individual, my potential is to work for 10 hours every day. That is my potential. But because I'm traveling for 2 hours, I am tired, my lifestyle is bad, I do not eat on time, तो मेरा lifestyle ख़राब है, बहुत सारे headaches रहते हैं, घर के काम ये और वो पर्सनल प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, सो आई एम इन शॉर्ट एबल टू वर्क फॉर ओनली 5 hours per day. This is my actual GDP, this is my potential GDP. So this is the difference between potential and actual GDP. The GDP gap depicts the difference between potential and real or actual GDP. How do you reach potential GDP? Sustainability. Very, very important. If you are environmentally sustainable, for example, individual में क्या होगा? ये balance. What is sustainability? The usage of resources in such a way that you do not compromise on the future usage of the same resources, on the future availability of the same resources. That is sustainability. That determines sustainability. In the case of an individual, हम भी अपने resources use कर रहे हैं. We are using our resources. Sustainability would mean that we are not burning out. That means we are creating the right balance in our daily routine. Okay. So sustainability becomes balance in the case of an individual. I'm trying to explain it to you from an individual perspective. If you want to reach potential GDP, आपको बैलेंस मेंटेन करना ज़रूरी है लाइफ में, अदरवाइज बर्नआउट हो जाओगे, यहाँ पर पहुँच ही नहीं पाओगे, और प्रॉब्ली यू कैन बी देयर फॉर 2-3 months or a year or 2 years and then you will ultimately come here at 5 hours per day. Okay, if you want to run like a horse in a marathon for let's say 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, then you have to be at your optimum potential. How can you do so? By being sustainable. Full employment, gender inequality, unemployment ये सब नहीं है, जितना employment होना चाहिए उतना economy में है. Technological usage, you're using advanced technology. Regulatory framework, that means your institutions are working well. क्योंकि institutions, if they are working well, then there will be limited or no shocks in the economy. So the economy will not be affected negatively. Steady currency. The currency has to be steady so that there is no volatility in case of foreign exchange, in case of foreign markets. Okay, I hope this is clear. So these are just some of the methods, some of the examples which I've given you how to reach potential GDP. There are multiple ways in which we can reach potential GDP. Anything that helps us to maintain sustainability, that helps us to maintain our optimum level of GDP utilization can be called as a contributor towards reaching potential GDP. I hope ये clear है. Okay. एक एग्जाम्पल दे देते हैं, रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क के अंदर आ जाएगा ये. सो इट इज़ अ स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म. जीएसटी जब इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, इट वाज कॉल्ड एज अ स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म, पार्ट ऑफ आर स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म्स 2.0. सो इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ जीडीपी हैज़ बूस्टेड द पोटेंशियल जीडीपी बाय 6.7%. हाउ? इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स का जो कलेक्शन है वो बढ़ा है, नंबर 1. सेकेंडली, पीपल हु आर नॉट इन द टैक्स नेट नाउ आर पेइंग टैक्सेस, नंबर 2. So our tax base increases. People who are not paying taxes in the form of direct taxes now have to pay indirect tax. कुछ तो टैक्स दे रहे हैं ना, तो टैक्स बेस कहीं ना कहीं बढ़ रहा है, and that money is used for developmental purposes. So all that has an impact on increasing our potential GDP of the country. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay. Let us now come to the next term, which is GNP, gross national product. GNP, national and domestic. What was the difference? Residents and citizens. यहाँ पर भी वही होगा. The only difference was residents and citizens. हमने residents की जगह citizens डाल दिया यहाँ पर. GDP becomes GNP. Okay, GDP becomes GNP when we are changing residents to citizens. I hope this is clear. That's the only difference. Residents हमने समझ लिया था, we understood citizens also. Instead of residents, if we start counting citizens, then it becomes GNP. Okay. economic contribution of how do we move from GDP to GNP. Let's say we want to go from GDP to GNP. How do we do that? Okay. Economic contribution of foreign citizens is to be removed from calculation of GNP, and economic contribution of Indian citizens abroad is to be added. So what do we need to do? Foreign citizens working in India, उनका contribution we need to remove. GDP में included था because they were staying in India. And there are Indian citizens working abroad. कोई आदमी है जो यूएस में रहता है, आमिर खान यूएस में रह रहे हैं, यूएस में काम कर रहे हैं, इंडियन सिटीजन हैं, उनको हमने इंक्लूड नहीं किया इन जीडीपी, बट वी आर गोइंग टू इंक्लूड दैट इन इंडियन इन जीएनपी. सो इंडियन सिटीजन्स लिविंग अब्रॉड, अर्निंग अब्रॉड, दे नीड टू बी एडेड. ओके, तो ये माइनस करेंगे और ये ऐड करेंगे टू अराइव एट जीएनपी. द डिफरेंस बिटवीन नेशनल एंड डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्ट इज द नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड. तो हम इसको क्या बोलते हैं? वी कॉल इट NFIA, नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड. Why is it called net factor income from abroad? Because net means we are removing foreign citizens working in India, we are adding Indian citizens working abroad. So net is whatever is left. It might be negative also. If there are a lot of foreign citizens working in India, very less Indian citizens working abroad, तो उस केस में it will be negative. So net factor income from abroad. Factor income, income of all kinds of citizens. From abroad, foreign citizens living in India, Indian citizens living abroad. इसलिए abroad हम यहाँ पर use करते हैं. Okay. If Indian citizens provide labor services abroad or own an equity in a firm abroad or even lend capital to companies abroad. So when you are investing in equities abroad, वो आपकी क्या हो जाएगी? Indian resident हो आप, you are lending capital to company abroad. They would be earning wages and salaries, profit and interest. In return, all of these comprise factor income from abroad. Let's say मैंने Apple में invest कर दिया, a foreign company. Okay, I am an Indian resident invested in a foreign company. Apple tomorrow pays dividend. So this dividend will be a factor income from abroad. Okay, I hope ये ध्यान रखना. This is from where questions can be asked. Okay. Foreign nationals in India earn factor income here. बहुत सारे foreign nationals हैं who earn in India, living in India. They are Indian residents but they are not Indian citizens. We will remove their incomes. The excess of factor income earned by Indian nationals abroad over the foreign income paid to foreign nationals in India is called as NFIA. Okay, ये इसका फॉर्मूला हो गया. NFIA, factor income earned from abroad minus factor income paid to abroad. Paid to abroad मतलब paid to foreign citizens working and living in India. So in order to calculate GDP, what we do, GNP, what we do is from GDP we add, in GDP we add net factor income from abroad, which means GDP plus factor income earned by Indian citizens abroad minus factor income paid to foreign citizens in India. मतलब या फिर paid to abroad, paid to foreign citizens in India. This is how we calculate GNP. The fundamental behind it should be clear. Okay, this is the major area from where question can be asked, from where any Indian person investing in an equity in a firm abroad or even lending capital to companies abroad. Even if I'm lending capital to companies abroad, whatever I'm earning from those will comprise factor income from abroad. Okay, this needs to be remembered. ये आपको याद रखना है. You have to memorize this. समझ आ जाएगा तो अपने आप ही याद हो जाएगा. You will not have to memorize it. Okay. NNP and NDP. So we have understood GDP and GNP. Now NNP we have already understood. NDP, what is the difference? Gross domestic, net domestic product and net national product. What is the difference between GDP and NDP? Gross and net depreciation. There are so many capital assets in a country. For example, this is an asset. मेरी balance sheet में this is shown as an asset. This iPad is shown as an asset in my balance sheet. तो इसका डेप्रिसिएशन लग रहा है हर साल. देयर इज सम डेप्रिसिएशन विच आई एम पुटिंग इन माई बैलेंस शीट कि यार ये मैंने 1 लाख का लेट्स से खरीदा था, and let's say I'm because this is a technology instrument, to 33% depreciation, so 33,000 I'm reducing as depreciation every year. So when the economy, the country will calculate NDP from GDP, it will reduce depreciation. This depreciation will have this 33,000 and tons of other depreciations of the entire economy. वो सब include होंगे इसमें NDP पे आने के लिए, in order to arrive at NDP. Okay, the same applies for NNP. You want to go from GNP to NNP, you just have to reduce depreciation. Okay, depreciation is fixed capital. Plant and machinery undergoes routine wear and tear, which signifies the extent of consumption of fixed capital. Let's say इसकी life, it is assumed that the life of iPad is 3 years, so I've reduced 33% every year. 33,000 is reduced every year. Okay, I hope this is clear. So these are the 8 measures of aggregates of national income. We are just revising the entire formulas and then we'll move forward. First of all, GDP at market price, gross domestic product at market price. GDP at factor cost, we already understood how to calculate factor cost from market price. From market price, we reduce indirect taxes and we add subsidies. Then there is NDP at market price, net domestic product at market price, or we can also calculate it from GDP at MP by reducing depreciation. NDP at factor cost, net domestic product at factor cost, we reduce indirect taxes and we add subsidies. Okay, GNP at market price, GNP and factor cost exactly the same, but we also add net factor income from abroad if we are calculating it from GDP at market price. Okay, so GDP at market price plus net factor income from abroad. NNP at market price, net national product at market price, which is GDP minus depreciation plus NFIA. NNP at factor cost, which is the national income, which can be calculated like this: GDP at market price minus depreciation in order to arrive at net, plus NFIA because domestic से national पे जाना है, minus indirect taxes plus subsidies because we are going from domestic to national income. इसलिए because we are going from market price to factor cost, so we reduce indirect taxes and we add subsidies. I hope this is clear. ये क्लियर है. हमने सारे ही वेरिएबल्स को यहाँ पे ऐड और सब्ट्रैक्ट कर लिया है in order to finally arrive at NNP at factor cost. Okay, यहाँ से भी you can try and understand this. Gross to net you reduce depreciation, domestic to national you add NFIA, market price to factor cost you reduce indirect taxes and you add subsidies. ये याद में रखो. If this is clear in your mind, you will never get confused and you will never get it wrong in your एग्जामिनेशन. एग्जाम में यहाँ से क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, आप कभी भी गलत नहीं होगे. ओके, प्राइवेट इनकम. ओके, लेट्स कम टू सम अदर वेरिएबल्स ऑल्सो, सम अदर कॉम्पोनेंट्स ऑल्सो विच आर ऑफन asked in the interview as well as nowadays they are asking it in phase 1 as well, prelims as well. Okay, private income is the income of private sector, that is households and firms taken together. तो गवर्नमेंट को छोड़ के जो भी प्राइवेट लोग हैं, whether it is an individual household or a firm, if we combine that, it becomes our private income. How do we calculate it? NDP at factor cost, net domestic product at factor cost, accruing to private sector, plus NFIA because we want to go at national from domestic, plus current transfers from the rest of the world, net जो भी बाहर से current transfers आए हैं. Transfers, we are not talking about income, we are talking about transfer, plus current transfer from the government to the private sector, plus national debt interest. अब ये थोड़े confusing है, let's try and understand them one by one. What is national debt interest? The interest that government pays on loans taken from the private sector. The government takes a lot of loans from the private sector. Government securities issue किए, government ने treasury bills issue किए, government ने ways and means advances के through. They are taking a lot of debt from the private sector, from people at large. So whatever interest the government is paying on that becomes an income of the private sector. That is why it is added here. National debt interest. ये आपको याद रखना है. You have to try and remember this. Okay. It has to be part of private income because it is an earning of the private income. Earning of the private sector. Okay. Okay. And the next one that we have is current transfers from the government to the private sector and current transfers from the rest of the world. it is assumed that all transfers from the rest of the world accrue to the private sector and not to the government. तो जो भी ट्रांसफ़र आ रहा है, let's say I'm living in the US and I'm paying something and giving something, not paying, I'm giving something to my father living in India. It's a transfer that I'm making to my father in India. Or let's say I'm giving any loan to any other person in India. That's also a kind of a transfer that I'm making. So all the kinds of transfers from international organizations or individuals or companies from the rest of the world to India will be a part of private income. It is assumed that it is not going to the government. It is assumed that it is going to the private sector. And it is said net because there are certain transfers that you're making from India also. India se bhi something is going out. So that will not be a part of private. That will be excluded from the part of private income because it's like an expense. We are transferring something from India abroad. Okay. So transfers from rest of the world, transfers from the government to the private sector, plus national debt interest, or you can also write it interest paid by the government on loans taken from the private sector. Okay. When you add all of this, you arrive at private income. Okay. Remittances, they're also called as remittances. What is personal income? Personal income is a little different than private income. From private income, you reduce corporate profit tax, you reduce undistributed profits by corporations, and then you add transfers by corporations and governments to households. Okay. Transfers made by the government to households. Transfer मतलब subsidy हो गया. So subsidy or any other kind of transfer, अभी 5 kilo you are giving free ration, transfer by the government to household. It will be added because it will become a part of personal income. Similarly, transfers given by the corporations to the household. It will also become a part of personal income. You reduce corporate profit tax. Why? Because private income includes the income of the entire private sector, including the households, including the companies. Profit tax, corporation tax, is the tax that is paid by these companies to the government, and therefore it cannot be disposed of, it cannot be enjoyed by the people at large, by the households at large. Therefore it is reduced. उसको हटा देते हैं, वो तो हमने tax दे दिया. Minus undistributed profits by corporations. Let's say a company earns an income of 1 lakh. This is the net income, net profit. This will be a private income for the company. But it decides that we will keep 60,000 as undistributed profit and we will distribute rupees 40,000 as dividend. हम लोग 40,000 dividend के form में we will distribute it among the people, among the shareholders, and we will keep 60,000 for future growth of the company. So this is going to be reduced. Our net income or our net profit is 1 lakh. This is a part of private income, but now we are reducing undistributed profits by corporations in order to arrive at personal income. Personal income is basically whatever is accrued to the households, not to the companies at large. जो भी households तक बचेगा वो हमारा personal income हो गया. Then households के पास भी जो आएगा, from that they will have to pay taxes. अब मेरे पास जो भी income आई, let's say I get a dividend of, let's say I am the only owner of this company. I get 40,000 dividend. I have to pay, let's say 10% dividend tax. मैंने dividend tax दिया 10%. So now I am left with 36,000. I've paid 4,000 as 10% dividend tax. So personal income, which is 40,000, minus income tax that I've paid as 10% dividend tax on this, minus fines and dues. Whatever your challans you're paying, वो government के पास the record goes, and they can reduce it from personal income to come at personal disposable income, because this all I paid to the government. Whatever remains, that is what I'm consuming, going to consume. Okay. This shows the purchasing power of households. So there can be a question here. What is the purchasing power of households in the form of different kinds of incomes? Personal income, personal disposable income, private income, gross domestic product. What is it? Okay. So personal disposable income, because the person is going to consume or save from this personal disposable income only. So purchasing power भी यहीं से आएगी. मेरी income final after paying taxes and everything, that is what I'm going to either consume or save. I hope this is clear. There are other terms: national disposable income, gross national disposable income, net national disposable income. तो personal disposable income हमने समझ लिया था. National disposable income will arrive from there only. Income from all sources, earned income as well as transfer payments from abroad available to the residents of India for their consumption expenditure or for saving during financial year. How do we calculate it? NNP at factor cost or national income. So we start from national income. We add indirect taxes. We add net current transfers from the rest of the world. Net indirect taxes are included because it is the transfer earning of the government, which is free to use the way it likes. So national disposable income is disposable income of the entire nation, which will include the government also. What is the disposable income of the entire nation? Okay, nation at large, which includes the government also. इसलिए indirect taxes भी वहाँ पर include कर दिया गया है. National income में we include indirect taxes or we add indirect taxes back. Okay, and whatever transfers are received from the rest of the world, whether by the government or by the private sector, that is also going to be added. इससे हमें आ जाएगा national disposable income. The meaning should be clear. Disposable income of the entire nation, whether it is the households, whether it is the government. Okay. Gross national disposable income, income available to the total economy for final consumption and gross saving. How do we measure it? Gross national disposable income, we start from GNP and not NNP. Current transfers received by the resident unit from the rest of the world minus current transfers payable to non-resident units to the rest of the world. So whatever transfers are received by the residents minus transfers paid to the non-resident units, that will become our gross national disposable income. I hope this is clear. Very very simple, because gross निकाल रहे हैं इसलिए हम यहाँ पर we are dealing with residents and not citizens. Okay. Net national disposable income, we just reduce depreciation from gross national disposable income. Okay, so these are the small terms that you can keep in mind. Now the last slide that we have is for estimates of national income. What are the different estimates of national income that we have? Okay, so we have advance estimate, provisional estimate. These are mainly written in the budget, asked in the interview at times, asked in phase 1, phase 2, prelims, mains also at sometimes. Advance estimate is the first one, released by NSO around 2 months before the completion of financial year. Financial year क्या है? Let's say 2020-2021, which means April 2020 to March 2021. In this case, January 2021 में you are going to have an advance estimate. So advance estimate around 2 months before the completion of financial, that means 7th February. तो हम जनवरी ले लेते हैं. जनवरी 2021 में आएगा हमारा एडवांस एस्टिमेट, या आ चुका है, इट इज़ ऑलरेडी अराइव्ड एडवांस एस्टिमेट. प्रोविजनल एस्टिमेट, एस्टिमेट ऑफ जीडीपी और नेशनल इनकम रिलीज्ड बाय एनएसओ 2 months आफ्टर द कंप्लीशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर. दैट मीन्स मार्च, अप्रैल, May 2021 we had our provisional estimate. Okay, first revised estimate 10 months after the completion of financial year. Financial year कब complete हुआ? March 2021. So it is going to be, let's say, January 2022. This is first advanced estimate. Okay, let's write it in a more organized manner. ऐसे confusing हो रहा है. So advanced estimate was January 2021. Provisional was May 2021. First advanced estimate was January 2022, right? Second was 1 year 10 months after completion of financial year, 31st January of the succeeding year. So 10 months, another 1 year. So January 2023 will be second revised estimate. And third revised estimate, 2 years and 10 months after completion of financial year. That means January 2024 we will give the third revised estimate. Okay, this is how different estimates of national income are released by the government. Let me write it here. January 2023 here and January 2024 here. Okay, I hope this is clear. So this is how different estimates of national income are created, calculated by the government and provided by the government to the entire world at large, to the people at large, to the parliament, in order for them to analyze. Okay, so this was all for this session. I hope it was useful. Whatever doubts you have, you can ask me now. प्राइवेट इनकम, हाउस होल्ड्स और फर्म्स की वट एवर इनकम इज देयर दैट इज कॉल्ड एज प्राइवेट इनकम. तो गवर्नमेंट की इनकम हटा देते हैं, हाउस होल्ड्स और प्राइवेट सेक्टर की जो भी इनकम है दैट बिकम्स आर प्राइवेट इनकम. ओके, तो वट ऑल आर वी गोइंग टू हैव हियर? नंबर 1, NDP एट फैक्टर कॉस्ट ऑफ द प्राइवेट सेक्टर, नेट डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्ट एट फैक्टर कॉस्ट. उसमें हमने नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड ले लिया इन ऑर्डर टू मूव टू नेट नेशनल प्रोडक्ट एट फैक्टर कॉस्ट. ओके, current transfers from the rest of the world. Whenever we are calculating NDP, GDP, GNP, NNP, whatever, we are not taking transfers. हम तो transfers नहीं लेते ना, because that doesn't become a part of factor income. That is not an income. That is a transfer. एक तरीके से भीख मिली है आपको, इनकम नहीं है आपकी वो. तो ट्रांसफर्स जो होता है वो हम ऐड कर देते हैं प्राइवेट इनकम में, बिकॉज समवेयर और द अदर, इवन इफ यू नॉट अर्नड इट, यू आर गोइंग टू कंज्यूम, यू आर गोइंग टू यूज़ इट इन ऑर्डर टू सेव और स्पेंड मनी. आप उसको कहीं ना कहीं तो यूज़ करोगे ना, तो जो भी आपको भीख में मिला है. सो इट इज़ अ ट्रांसफ़र, इट इज़ नॉट एन इनकम. आपने कुछ एफर्ट नहीं लगाया उसको कमाने के लिए, यू जस्ट रिसीव्ड इट, दैट्स व्हाई इट्स कॉल्ड अ ट्रांसफर. देयर इज़ नो ऑब्लिगेशन ऑन योर पार्ट, यू डोंट हैव टू डू एनीथिंग. सो करंट ट्रांसफर्स फ्रॉम द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड प्लस करंट ट्रांसफर्स फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट टू द प्राइवेट सेक्टर. गवर्नमेंट भी जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को ट्रांसफर्स देती है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ सब्सिडी, टैक्स रिडक्शन, ऑल दोज थिंग्स, दोज आर ऑल्सो ट्रांसफर्स ओनली. ओके, ये हमने ऐड कर दिया बिकॉज प्राइवेट सेक्टर को फायदा हुआ. प्राइवेट सेक्टर इज गोइंग टू स्पेंड दैट मनी, इन्वेस्ट दैट मनी, कंज्यूम दैट मनी, सेव दैट मनी, वट एवर इट वॉन्ट्स टू डू. प्लस national debt interest. The government has taken a lot of loan from the private sector. Whatever the government is paying to the private sector in the form of interest, that becomes an income for the private sector. तो उस पे भी the private sector is going to consume that, whether it's an individual, whether it's a company. आपको interest मिला, आप खर्च करोगे या सेव करोगे, whatever you do. So that is why it becomes a part of your private income. I hope it's clear. Okay. Of course, yes. Murali is saying by the time second and third estimate gets ready, there will be new budget. Of course, there will be a lot of many new budgets because 2022 तक ये we will have advanced estimate of the next year. Here we will have advanced estimate and provisional estimate of the next year. तो ये नए बजट्स आते चले जाएंगे. तो कभी भी whenever you look at the budget, you will see a lot of previous data is also provided. Okay. ठीक है, आई होप द सेशन वॉज यूजफुल. प्लीज़ स्प्रेड द वर्ड अराउंड. लोग कम आ रहे हैं आजकल, मज़ा कम आता है, लोग कम आते हैं तो 100-125 लोग होते हैं तो थोड़ा ज़्यादा अच्छा लगता है. ओके, व्हाट अबाउट लोन्स बाय द वर्ल्ड बैंक, AIB टू द गवर्नमेंट? वो प्राइवेट इनकम का पार्ट नहीं बनेगा बिकॉज वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को नहीं जा रहा है. दैट इज़ गोइंग टू द गवर्नमेंट, दैट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ प्राइवेट इनकम. ठीक है ना? आई होप दैट्स क्लियर. तो आई होप दिस सेशन वॉज यूज़फुल. मेजॉरिटी चीज़ें कवर कर ली गई थी इस सेशन में. कुछ भी और डाउट्स हैं यू कैन आस्क इट इन दी टेलीग्राम ग्रुप. वहाँ पे आप लिख तो आई थिंक लिखने का मैंने ऑप्शन बंद कर दिया है ना. लेट मी ऐड इट, ओपन इट अगेन फॉर सम टाइम. जो लोग ज़्यादा उसमें प्रॉब्लम करेंगे देन आई अगेन क्लोज इट फॉर सम टाइम. ओके, I have allowed now people to send messages, so you can start sending messages. Whatever doubts you have, you can ask those doubts there. ठीक है, चलिए, all the best guys, take care, good night, and I'll see you again on Thursday with another session. तब तक के लिए प्लीज़ स्प्रेड द वर्ड अराउंड. बहुत अच्छे से, बहुत डिटेल में पूरा कोर्स कवर कर रहे हैं, तो as many people as you can get on board, that will be useful for all of us.